No, that's a good point, Rodri. Welcome to Crash Course. I'm Alec.
I'm Rodrigo.
And I'm Molly.
And throughout the next 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to try to be educating you guys about everything to do with the book Great Expectations, whether it's the author, the plot, or whatever it has to do with. So we're going to get started right now. At first you're probably wondering, who's Charles Dickens? And that's probably because 90% of you guys chose to read East of Eden because it was shorter.
Charles Dickens was this really old author guy.
You should probably mention that he's dead now.
He's dead now. Oh, my bad. He's super dead. Super dead.
Dickens was born in 1812 in England.
Which isn't part of the European Union anymore.
Thanks, Brexit.
As I was saying, he moved to North London at the age of 10 and left school at a young age to work at a factory when his father was incarcerated.
What a fatherly example.
He then became a journalist despite his lack of education for the next 20 years, starting at the age of 19 writing short stories for the Mirror Parliament.
His first success came at the age of 24 when he published his first novel, The Pickwick Papers. He then went on to create countless more novels using primarily humor and satire to catch his audience.
His literature is spread out through even today's titles, through books like A Christmas Carol, A Tale of Two Cities, and even Great Expectations. One more thing that gets looked past was the fact that Dickens actually dies later in life because of his new cat that he got, which he has to clean up after every day, and without wearing a mask. Dickens develops Alzheimer's and slowly dies. Just kidding. None of that happens, because that isn't a proven study. Luke.
So, back to the book. Great Expectations. This book is all about a boy named Philip Purip, who's better known as Pip, who lives in Kent, a small town in England. Pip is a poor boy and is essentially frightened of everything. His parents died at a young age, so now he lives with his sister, Mrs. Joe, whom he is terrified of, and his brother-in-law, Joe Gargery, who's basically his father and also kind of his bro.
The book starts off with Pip getting essentially mugged by a convict who ever so kindly asks for a nail file and food, both of which Pip brings to him the next day, thus leading to his escape.
Pip wants not to be frightened anymore and wants to become a gentleman, the highest class of person, but is unfortunately poor, when suddenly one day he is told by a lawyer that he has a very large sum of money. With that money, he moves to London, becomes a gentleman, and essentially forgets his past and becomes an of himself.
He tries to fall in love with this girl named Estella, but she definitely does not want to fall in love with him. Half the book is spent with him trying to fall in love with her, and it's essentially just a huge waste of time.
It's then revealed that his endorser for his large sum of money, whom he thought came from Estella's guardian, Miss Havisham, comes from the convict who threatened to slit his throat. It's also revealed that the convict, Abel Magwitch, is on the run from the police, as he's still wanted, and all of Pip's money disappears, and he's dirt poor again. Oh, and then he totally ends up with the Estella chick in the end, and his sister dies, and Joe ends up with Pip's childhood friend. The end.
We're supposed to fit in literary devices from the book without making a big transition from one to the other, but we couldn't think of one, so we're using this.
Man, symbols, those are a thing in books.
One main symbol throughout Great Expectations are the clocks in Miss Havisham's mansion. All the clocks in her house are frozen at 9:20, the exact time that she was supposed to be married. For the uninitiated, her husband kind of sort of left her and took a large sum of her money while doing so. The clocks being frozen at the time represents Miss Havisham's inability to grow up and move on with her life. She lives in the same mansion every day and repeats the same activities without trying to live her life, despite being essentially a millionaire.
Well, that got depressing.
Another huge literary device would be the metaphor of the mansion. The mansion represents how the rich life can be gilded at times, because the entire time Pip went to visit Miss Havisham, all he saw was the lavish lifestyle that they lived. And it wasn't until the middle of the book that he saw that the people inside the mansion were sad and didn't appreciate the money.
Well, that really got depressing. Hey, tell you guys what, to cheer you guys up, you guys like impressions?
Yeah, I guess.
Why? That was Socrates? Man, what a quality transition to the why of the book. Why does the book matter? What's its meaning? And now you're probably wondering, Alec, how did you switch clothes so fast? And to that I say, what is the end lesson that Dickens is trying to teach? Don't be a little English snob with too much money and waste it all and forget your loving family. That's the lesson.
Alright, well, clothes. The meaning behind the story is that money can't buy happiness. For Miss Havisham and Estella, all it brought was depression. For Pip, it only baited him into thinking that he could attain money until he found out that Magwitch was his endorser, which until then he lost all his money just added to his snobbishness.
Is that a real word?
It is now.
Hey Alec, did you know that all novels are based off past novels?
No way, Rodrigo. Where'd you learn that?
I guess it just came to me.
So, What's Great Expectations based off of?
Actually, it might not sound like it at first, but Great Expectations actually relates very similarly to Hamlet.
There's legitimately a play inside of Great Expectations where the play of Hamlet is portrayed directly by one of the characters.
Dickens promotes the reader's understanding of Pip's tragedy, which can correlate to Prince Hamlet. The resonance of Prince Hamlet and Pip's character, the fatherly figures of Joe and Magwitch, are drawn in the portrayal of the ghost of Hamlet's father. He states the role of the reader is to recognize Pip portraying his life to the actors and scenes being comically reenacted on stage. Both Hamlet and Great Expectations endure the struggles of young men striving to fulfill their obligations to a vengeful father figure. The fatherly figures propel their sons to attain the place in society which they lacked a chance to themselves, but the fatherly intentions only lead to Hamlet and Pip's self-destruction.
Well, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was. But it's also the end.
So that's why we're filling the rest of the video with cat videos as we roll the credits. So without further ado, DFTBA, thank you for watching and have a nice day.